Picture a classroom of the future, a classroom in which all students are engaged in meaningful, active learning. One where everything in the room, every light, every piece of furniture, every wall can be utilized in a practical, meaningful way by both teachers and students. A classroom that has fully integrated technology into the very framework of the classroom, where an iPad is as accessible as a piece of paper. These ideas symbolize the possibilities technology offers us as teachers. We may not be able to reach this particular picture now, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't start to work towards them in our classrooms today. In our schools, we are more diverse than ever. According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, we have more people of differing race and ethnicity going to school together than ever before. As you can see here, roughly 45% of students are white, 15% are black, 30% are Hispanic, and 4% are at least two or more races. Students with disabilities are spending more time in general education classes as well, with 60% of students spending 80% of their school day in a general education classroom. Because of this, educators are now facing the challenge of engaging all students in their classrooms. With students coming from so many different places at so many different levels and needing so many different kinds of learning strategies, this task starts to seem near impossible. I argue that this growing problem can be solved by working towards this picture of a future classroom. By bringing technology into the classroom, a teacher is given great opportunities to reach all students, no matter how diverse the class. When discussing technology in the classroom, there are three main subjects I would like to address: the proper integration of technology into the classroom, the change in the physical nature of the classroom, and the effect a technological classroom can have on the students and their role in the classroom. Before bringing technology into the classroom, it's important to know what the different levels of technology integration are. In our hypothetical classroom of the future, we will strive for the highest level of technological integration, because in a more integrated classroom, we have seen greater effects on student learning because of the technology itself. A common model that defines and outlines the levels of technology in the classroom is the SAMR model created by Dr. Ruben Puentedura. In his podcast, TPAC and SAMR, he explains his model as well as the TPAC model, which will not be discussed here. As the acronym implies, there are 4 levels of technological integration in the SAMR model: substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. These 4 levels can be further divided. The substitution and augmentation levels are considered enhancement levels. This is because they focus on simply using technology to supplement learning in the classroom. The purpose of technology in the classroom at these levels is to support already established learning practices. However, the 2 levels that we are most interested in are the transformation levels, modification and redefinition. The reason I want to focus on these 2 levels is because they bring a level of alteration to the classroom that can seriously elevate a student's learning. The enhancement levels do not show any major effect in student learning. They can be helpful tools, but learning is not enhanced by the technology itself. These transformation levels, on the other hand, have been shown to have an effect on learning if they are implemented correctly. The final level, and the level that truly transforms the classroom, is the redefinition level. At this level, we are able to use technology that opens avenues that would never have existed without that technology. No longer is technology simply a tool. It is now the foundation for learning that brings new possibilities into the classroom. Later on in this video, we will look at a practical example of technology in the classroom that is at the redefinition level of technology integration. So, now that we understand what it means to fully integrate technology into a classroom setting, let's look at the other effects technology will have on the classroom. When one seeks to completely incorporate technology into a classroom setting, the physical structure of the classroom has to be altered as much as the strategies used inside the classroom. In Edutopia's Big Thinker series, David Thornburg takes a look at how our classrooms should evolve based on the technology that is becoming available to us. Now, classrooms today have already broken out of the trite, teacher stands in front of a class that sits in little desks in neat rows that face the board on the front wall, etc., etc. We've already figured out that that formula was not working for us. But we can do more than that. We can bring a level of flexibility to the classroom that has never been imagined before. We now want a classroom that focuses less on delivering a lecture and more on becoming a space for discovery and learning. To achieve this kind of progressive learning-based environment, there are 3 general rules that should be followed. Furniture must be mobile and flexible, each collaborative area must have a display, and each collaborative area must have a writable surface. Flexibility is the first and most stressed physical aspect of our technology-centered classroom. The ability for the classroom to change based on the learning needs of the students each day is something that we have not had in the traditional classroom of the past. Innovative classroom desks, called node chairs, are easily movable desks that combine in several ways to change the structure of the classroom. Peer tutoring, group work, and large class discussion are easily attainable if there is a way to arrange the room easily depending on which activities are planned for the day. There is no front of the room or back of the room because of this style of classroom. Every wall or window has the ability to turn into the front, back, or side of the classroom. This is where the displays come in. Because of the movable nature of the classroom, having projectors and displays for each area ensures that all students will have access to the materials and visuals that are needed. Also, with the flexible nature of our new classrooms, we can think outside the box about note-taking or brainstorming surfaces, to the point where even the wall can turn into an active learning surface. Writing on the walls is unusual for students and is a fun way to encourage note-taking, outlining, and can help assist group collaboration efforts. All of these things bring new life into the classroom. The purpose of this is to help students focus on their learning. However, we can take it a step further. Another benefit of integrating technology into the classroom is how it can pull students out of a passive role and into an active one. Simply sitting in front of a teacher giving a lecture can make students passive learners. They become receivers of information, which they have to process and store. Though this requires some activity of the mind, it can render the student complacent. If they expect to be given the information they need, there's no drive to discover and learn as an individual. One research team produced an article called Effects of Active Learning on Student Performance and Retention. This article examines the results of a study on the effects of active learning on a sophomore chemical engineering course. The results were interesting and also supportive of active learning. They found that, on one of the tests, the actively taught students in the low GPA stratum scored significantly higher than the traditionally taught students, and the actively taught students in both strata earned significantly higher homework grades than their traditionally taught counterparts. In the low GPA stratum, the actively taught students were far more likely to remain in chemical engineering, with the difference after 2 years being statistically significant. Though there was little to no effect on students with higher GPAs in this study, students with a lower GPA showed higher marks in homework and a higher retention rate. Already, we can see how active learning can help students' motivation because of these results. Motivation and engagement in the classroom is key. When students are motivated, they are more likely to persist on a task and try harder than a student without motivation. We saw how active learning affected how many students remained in engineering, and I think we can theorize that it was due to a boost in motivation. We want to promote this kind of motivation by using technology and active learning in the classroom. By making students active participants in their learning, they become invested in the learning itself. In our classroom of the future, we want to use technology to give students the power to actively pursue knowledge and understanding. Bringing technology into our students' lives allows them to become active learners. Instead of the teacher being the primary source of knowledge, the students are now responsible for finding the information, using the tools they are given through technology, and the programs that are available for them to use. The teacher becomes a resource for further questions and in-depth concepts. Because Google exists and gives students access to a plethora of knowledge, the teacher should allow technology to answer basic facts and shift their focus to deeper, more complex learning goals. Why ask when Columbus sailed to America when we can ask what the social implications were at the time, or how politics affected the decision to try and travel to India? Not only can the teacher put more focus on core concepts when technology is integrated into the classroom, but they can open up their classroom to even more possibilities. As I mentioned before, teachers would no longer be a classroom's sole source of information. Instead of having a closed classroom where the primary teacher is the only source of knowledge, the teacher can expand their classroom to new experts. Through the internet, a teacher can have all kinds of other teachers visit the classroom. Not only that, but having an online resource means that students who are not part of the core class can also come and go. This freedom allows new ideas to be added to the classroom and allows students to access a much broader range of information than before. Now, let's take a look at how we can put some of this into practice. One way I personally hope to integrate technology when I am a teacher in a classroom is through YouTube. Students all come into our classrooms with funds of knowledge. Funds of knowledge are simply the pieces of valuable and unique information a student brings to the classroom. These funds of knowledge come from the diverse backgrounds each student has and affects the way they think, learn, speak, create, solve problems, and more. When I am a teacher, I, like many teachers that are already in the school system, want to tap into these funds of knowledge instead of shut them away. I think we can use technology to do this. Particularly, I want to do it through YouTube. At first, this might seem strange. How can we use a video sharing website to bring a child's culture or home life into a classroom? The answer is actually really simple. I want all of my students to have a YouTube account specifically for school. Each student in my class would then subscribe to the other students, thus interconnecting us all. There, they would be able to both create and share videos that connect to them, their family, and their backgrounds. They could create videos from their home or social circles and post them to their channel that I, the teacher, and other students could access easily. Not only that, but content like music, documentaries, popular vines, anything that they find culturally significant to them could be compiled in different playlists from other videos on YouTube. For example, I want to integrate music into my classroom. Instead of trying to choose the music that my students would like to listen to, I can go directly into their funds of knowledge by compiling a playlist from their own playlist on YouTube. I could also look and see what kind of cultures and ideas are in my class through the videos that have been liked by my students. Then I could create lessons and presentations from these, even showing the videos themselves to the entire class. YouTube presents an opportunity that has never been present before. Without this technology, all of these things would not be possible, which makes it part of the redefinition level of technology integration. This website can be used as a completely transformative tool to help me tap into a student's funds of knowledge in a way that was not possible before. It gives me a way to see into the minds of my students. Through their uploaded videos, likes, and playlists, I would be able to get a first-hand idea of where they come from. Through all of this, it is important to remember that none of this will happen overnight. In fact, this ideal classroom of the future may never happen. There are many issues in the way. Funding for the technology, training to use the technology, student cooperation, administrative cooperation, the list goes on. But that does not mean we should not strive to achieve it. If we can manage to bring even one of these elements into our classrooms, I truly think it will be a change for the better. Meaningful, all-encompassing integration of technology is the first step. If we can manage to fully incorporate technology into our learning environments, the other things can follow. We can change the structure of the classroom into something dynamic and meaningful. This is one picture of the classroom of the future, and even though it may never be a reality, it can certainly be the template for change as we grow into a more modern and technology-based society.